Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. I'm Ryan Lincoln. I'm back with my co-host Brady Penn. We are on the Blitz angle. Week 14 was nothing short of exciting, to say the least. Brady, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. That was a good game. Watching the luckiest team in NFL history once again find a way. So not surprised. Not surprised with the outcome of that Sunday night game, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have a heated debate tonight. I know that for sure. Obviously, a lot of stuff coming around the NFL today. Definitely a lot of playoff updates in the playoff picture. Some upset wins, some big wins by some teams. Brady, let's start off in the biggest game of the week for sure. Buffalo Bills, Los Angeles Rams, absolute shootout. We got two of the biggest fantasy football performances of the week between Puka Nacua and Josh Allen. If you had that stack today, oh my God, you got locked in.
I didn't have Puka, but I had Josh Allen and Jordan Addison in my lineup today. So.
Oh, dude, yeah, you're set then. I had Josh Allen and Puka in one league. I got over 200 points right now in a PPR format, dude. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better game between that. The Bills, necessarily didn't start off very well. The Rams came out sharp, and then in the second half, it was all Buffalo clawing back. And then obviously Los Angeles did enough. Gutsy call by Sean McVay. Before they got the ball, I was in the room with Bad Boy CC and Hawk 1626. We were all talking about it. I'm like, hey, Los Angeles is going for it on fourth down here, and they're not giving Josh Allen the ball back. They can't do it. And, they did it. It was 4th and 6, somewhere around there, made a great play. And, they got the job done. Brady, what are your takeaways from the Rams' big win? And obviously, is Buffalo any different in your mind after this loss?
No, I think that Buffalo is the exact same spot where I had them. I'll probably have to drop them maybe a place in my power rankings, but I honestly still believe this is the best team in the AFC. I do think that the Rams were a really bad matchup for them. What I do want to say is that the Rams did get away with a false start on that. I believe it was the 4th down play. Maybe it was 3rd down, but that right tackle, I remember them talking about it on the broadcast. I had noticed it when the ball was snapped. I was like, that guy jumped early. They didn't call it. And they were saying on the broadcast that he went early and it should have been a false start. But like you said, gutsy call by Sean McVay. And the Rams offense had by far their best performance, and it goes to showing why you believe in this team down the stretch. I mean, Puka Nacua was unstoppable, but in terms of Puka Nacua and what he did, I have a bone to pick with Sean McDermott. I mean, he wasted a 6-touchdown performance from Josh Allen, refusing to do anything different on any 3rd down. Every single 3rd down, it felt like I saw that the Bills were bringing a blitz. By the way, Matthew Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks in the league against the blitz, and they had Nacua one-on-one. They never doubled him, left him one-on-one on the outside with Rasul Douglas pretty much every single time with a blitz coming, and Stafford just kept finding him. It was ridiculous. Josh Allen had 400-something total yards, 6 touchdowns. You should never lose that game, even if you're on the road, and they have nobody to be mad at but Sean McDermott. That wasn't even his only screw-up. Calling the timeout after calling the sneak and just compounding your mistakes. That is the one area where I say if they have to go to Arrowhead and play Kansas City, I am concerned because I'm not concerned about Kansas City putting up 40-something points like we saw the Rams do today. I'm not super concerned about the Chiefs defense just absolutely shutting down the Bills, but I am concerned about Sean McDermott getting out-coached rather by Andy Reid. I mean, we've seen it so many times in this matchup, and if we see it again, that is the one holdup that I might have with the Buffalo Bills is the guys calling the plays on the sidelines.
Yeah, just shout out to some of the people in the chat right now. Mr. Tweeter in here, Mahomes' second GOAT of all time. Braden Gerbig is thirsty. Angel saying staff cooked today 100%. Mr. Tweeter loves blitz. We got Trey in the chat tonight. Shout out to all you guys in the chat right now. And Angel's right. Stafford cooked today, dude. I mean, like I said, the reason I am so high on the Rams this year and why I think they have a chance to win the West down the stretch here is because they have Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams.
They still get another game against Seattle, right?
Yep, last game. They were talking about this before the game tonight. It's the last regular season game. The Rams already beat Seattle, so all they have to do is be a game back of Seattle heading into that last week. And what do you know? It's the Rams division, dude. Like,
pretty favorable schedule those 3 games before too. They got the Niners, the Jets, and the Cards. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely doable. And I know that the Seahawks have the Packers next week. I don't know who they have in between there, but I'll talk about the Rams on this front. I am high on the Rams because of their offense, but we saw today how bad their defense is. Like, absolutely couldn't stop a nosebleed. in the second half, and they let the Bills get in the game. The Rams offense, I think, had one. What do you say?
Tackling was so bad.
Tackling's bad. They had no pass rush in the second half. Their secondary was just allowing deep ball after deep ball with penalties. And then, what concerns me most about that Rams defense too is when they go and try to stop somebody, it's just not like they don't go and send any authority. It's not like they're pushing guys backward. I don't know if I saw one Rams play that just stopped the Buffalo Bills from going forward today. It's always teams gaining yards in the Rams. And when you have an offense like the Rams do, and they put up a performance like they did today, only one punt, I think is what it was. That one punt almost cost them the game. If they don't convert on that last drive, you give Josh Allen the ball back, even if they do get a field goal, and he has a chance to go win the ball game. He has all the timeouts he has. We saw they went down and scored anyways. Like, this Rams defense needs to be better down the stretch if they want a chance in the division. Obviously, you're not going to play Josh Allen every single week, but you got to be a little bit better than what they showed today. And on the Bills side of things, that was a pathetic performance on defense. You talk about the coaching part of it. That's part of it. But, dude, this defense was abysmal tonight. It kind of – I don't know if it necessarily exposed some things, but I'm a little bit more concerned about the Bills' defense than I was heading into this week. Their pass defense has been excellent this year. Their pass rush has been excellent. That wasn't there today against a pretty poor Rams offensive line. And their rush defense, who – has probably been the weak spot of that defense this year, was good today, but the pass defense, Brady, where were they today?
See, I think that it was two things. I mean, obviously the DBs did not have their best game, but as I pointed to with McDermott, I think there was a complete non-existence of adjustments. I think that McDermott got really, really complacent and a little too overconfident in his defensive game plan today and just did not go away from anything else. And you mentioned no rushing of the passer, no rushing of Stafford. Stafford, I don't know what his time to throw was today, but he was phenomenal at getting the ball out quick, being decisive, and finding Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp quickly on the outsides. And then when he did have good protection, he was finding guys deep down the field and even had a couple that got taken back. So, I mean, the Bills, I feel like their weakness is that quick passing game, that underneath maybe 5 to 10 yard range, especially on the outsides. I mean, even they had Benford kind of in a bind. They had him in the slot a majority of the game, and he is at his most effective on the outside. So we'll see what the Bills come back with. I think that this is a disappointing loss for Buffalo, but it can be completely amended if they do beat the Lions next week. It is going to be a tall task for them to get the 1 seed at this point. It was bad to lose this game with the Chiefs winning. Chiefs almost gave the Bills a mulligan, but the Bills now are 2 games back. And they do have the head-to-head, but at this point, they need to win out and hope that the Chiefs lose 2 of their final 4 games. And the only 2 that I even see a possibility of them losing are the Broncos game and the Steelers game on Christmas. And I find it highly unlikely that they lose both of those. And who knows if the Bills can even beat the Lions. So we'll see. At this point, if the Bills don't beat the Lions, it becomes a question of, are the Steelers going to get that 2 seed? And are the Bills going to have that 3 seed? I mean, it's very interesting. The AFC is maybe not quite as set in stone as we thought, but one certainty is the Chiefs winning the AFC West and the Bills winning the AFC East.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Bills kind of trailing back now 2 games of the Chiefs, and the Chiefs obviously walking away with an ugly win for the, I'm going to say, 3rd straight week now.
Chiefs time.
Look, I'll say this about the Chiefs game to start. This Chiefs team is one of the probably worst teams in the Mahomes era. I think that's very clear right now at this point. And they never put good play together on both sides of the ball. I've never seen this Chiefs team play good defense and play good offense at the same time. It's almost like we have a wish-wash. Chiefs offense turns it up, the Chiefs defense turns it down. Chiefs defense turns it up, the offense completely falls apart. It's almost like the same script every single game. And then the same script is a 1-score game in the 4th quarter. And we know how good Patrick Mahomes is in a 1-score game. It seems like they always find a way to get it done. Brady, what are your takeaways from this one?
I just can't stand, I think everybody on the show knows that I'm at least not a Chiefs fan. I try to be objective with them, but it is frustrating just as a football fan. Every single week, it feels like maybe part of this is just the intimidation of how good the Chiefs have been. Every team in the 4th quarter just like pisses down their leg and just forgets how to do little things right. We saw the Chargers on that final drive have multiple attempts to shut the drive down and just completely miss tackles, like easy tackles too, running into each other, trying to get a sack. Like it turns into like, I forget the name, whatever the team that plays the Harlem Globetrotters, they turn into that. And they're like, comedic mistakes, and the Chiefs do execute. The Chiefs are always going to take advantage of that, and you can't take away from the Chiefs for that. But I mean, like an illegal kickoff after you take the lead, like it's the most ridiculous thing sometimes, I feel like. And again, shout out to the Chiefs, because not every team is going to bat 1,000 in that situation when they're given these chances, and the Chiefs do. But it's just frustrating when you feel like maybe the Bills have been the most talented team in the AFC, and I know style points don't get you anywhere, but now they find themselves 2 games back of a team that feels like they're consistently underperforming every single week and only has 1 loss.
Yeah, what I'll say with this and the Chiefs is that they have real problems. Like, their problems are legit. They can't block very well. Their route concepts this year, especially today, were really bad, and Andy Reid's gotten away from the run a lot, and it's caused teams to basically tee off against a bad offensive line. Those are the main 3 problems I see on offense right now. People that think Patrick Mahomes is playing bad football, you should probably turn on the tape. He's not playing very bad football right now. Today, I actually thought he played pretty well, considering the fact I think he was hit maybe 15, 20 times today. I mean, he was on his back 1 out of every 3 throws. On the defensive side of things, Joshua Williams should have been playing for weeks now, dude. In the first half, their defense looked normal. Williams with his first start of the season. Zeke Johnson was on the bench. Obviously, in the second half, things changed. Williams goes down on that second drive, and Nazeeth Johnson, and I don't even remember the other guy's name they slotted in there. The defense went back. And what I'll say is that cornerback 2 spot, if it doesn't get figured out, they're going to continue to struggle on defense. They look gassed in the second half there, as we thought, they have been in the past few weeks on defense. They still have a solid defense. I think they've been underperforming on that side of the ball as of late, but I think that cornerback 2 position is of my biggest concern. But with the Chiefs, I'll say this. They are good enough right now, despite their sloppy play, to be in a game, in a 1-score game in the fourth quarter. And Brady, who else in the NFL would you want the ball in your hands in the fourth quarter other than Mahomes? I mean, Josh Allen's great. Mahomes has 3 rings at this point. He's done it. He has a 500 record now, going ahead in the fourth quarter with, I think it was that going ahead fourth quarter scores to go win a game. He's now 500, which is the best in NFL history. Like, the reason, look, the Chiefs have been lucky this year. I'll be the first one to say that. The Chiefs have been lucky in situations this year, but at some point, people need to recognize that the Chiefs win 1-score games because they have the biggest equalizer in the sport in Patrick Mahomes, and they constantly find themselves on the right side of things because he puts himself in a good position to go win a game at the end of the ballgame. Now, what you can't say is the Chiefs are playing good football and you look past all their issues. They're a flawed team, and if they're in a 1-score game, you have to trust Patrick Mahomes with his ball in the hands in the fourth quarter, and that's how I look at this team right now. If they do get better, which I don't know if they are. I don't know if they are going to get better, but they are a team that can lose any single week against any team. We've seen that, and they can beat any team in the NFL. That's just what this Chiefs team is. They're flawed. They're probably not the most talented team in the NFL, but they have 15, and I think they have as good of a shot as they did last year.
Tune in next week for Jameis Winston to throw for 300 with 2 picks and lose.
I'm telling you right now, we saw Aiden O'Connell cook this defense. You already know Jameis is going for 400, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. It's going to be like a 20-19 game.
Well, another thing I do want to point out, 2 things real quick before we move on to the next topic. For one, I feel like it's always I mentioned that the teams fail to execute on the easy things down the stretch against the Chiefs. I feel like a lot of coaches just coach scared against the Chiefs. Jim Harbaugh did it tonight, and I know Jim Harbaugh is more of a ball control, control the clock, old school type of coach, but multiple times he punted the ball in field goal range. They had a 3rd and 14 or 3rd and 15 before they kicked their final field goal on their last possession, and they run the ball instead of trying to push the ball down and try and get a 1st and goal. It's just a lot of scared coaching, and then calling 2 timeouts to save 27 seconds before the 2-minute warning was ridiculous. It was the 2nd worst clock management I saw today besides Sean McDermott in that Bills game. So I just feel like sometimes coaches don't do enough. And the one thing I will give McDermott credit for, he's the one coach we've seen not be scared, going for it on that 4th down instead of kicking the field goal against the Chiefs in their sole loss this season. The Bills laid it all out on the line. The Bills did not pull any punches, and they went for the win. They played to win. They didn't play to take the lead and hope that their defense could get a stop. They played for the win. And I think more teams need to take a page out of Buffalo's book in that regard. But I will say Angel, who's in the stream right now in the chat, he brought up a good point to me. He's an LA guy. He's more of a Rams fan, but he lives in LA, and he was saying both times that the Chargers have faced the Chiefs, it's been a good game. It's been a defensive game. The Chargers have not been healthy in either one of these. I know we said the Bills are probably the team the Chiefs most want to avoid are the Chargers. The second team in the AFC the Chiefs don't want to see because the first time, no Khalil Mack, no Joey Bosa, no Derwin James, and then today, no J.K. Dobbins, no Lad McConkey. If they could find a way to have this team healthy, do you think that they could give the Chiefs another scare in the divisional round maybe?
Chargers always play the Chiefs tough. I agree that, playing a division opponent in the postseason is probably the toughest matchup you'll see except for a Kansas City or Buffalo in the postseason. I think that is true for the Chiefs in the AFC West. They see these games 2 times a year, and obviously the Chargers have a great defense, and so do the Broncos as well. But I will say this with playoff matchups as well. I'm interested to see on the Chargers side of things if they could potentially clip a team like Houston, clip a team, like the Steelers.
Taking them over Houston 100%.
Yeah, I think they could clip those teams and move on, and then they would potentially get Kansas City in that second round, which would be a great game. And what's interesting too is if we have like those 4 and 5 teams that just we have a 5, we could see honestly 2 wild card teams moving on in that second round, which would be interesting to see. I mean, you got Baltimore slotted in there right now, Los Angeles is slotted in, and the Steelers are a good football team. Let's talk about them right now. They continue to find ways to win games, and today against the Browns, they were pretty dominant in that win due to that defense. But I mean, I just can't buy into them being a Super Bowl contender.
With that offense, man, it's really tough for me. Their defense would really have to go on a generational run in the postseason and like score points defensively. I don't think that we're going to see many 30-plus point games against playoff defenses by the Steelers. I mean, the Ravens have one of the worst pass defenses in the league, and I think the Steelers scored like 13 points on them or something like that a couple of weeks ago. So
that was basically a playoff. That was a playoff style game.
I don't buy into this offense, but I will say if there are 3 teams that the Chiefs want to avoid, the Steelers are probably number 3 just because of that defense and the edge rusher play compared to the tackles that are having issues on Kansas City, especially if DJ Humphries went out before even finishing his first game as a Chief. We don't really know what he was going to be, but Wanya Morris comes in. I know you and all of Chiefs Kingdom probably hated to see Wanya Morris coming in there at the end. It ended up not mattering, but we'll see what happens there. I mean, TJ Watt, you saw the Chargers, who do have a good pass rush and a good defense, just completely get after Mahomes, like you said. But TJ Watt could tee off.
And you know what it was this game? We'll end with this. We're rambling about this game a little bit, but the 2 things that mattered in this Chiefs game were Patrick Mahomes avoiding people trying to hit him behind the line of scrimmage and throwing on the move. That's the 2 things that he was able to do on third down in 2 different situations that won them the game. All right, let's talk about this. Kirk Cousins, Brady, another really disappointing performance. He looked pretty solid at times throughout the day, and then there were some really questionable throws, and the Falcons never were able to get it done. And then, the Bucs found a way to win an ugly game against the Raiders. It wasn't pretty. The NFC South looks like it's trending towards the Bucs. Is it time to bench Kirk Cousins?
This is me pushing the panic button. I'm pushing the panic button right now on the Falcons and Kirk Cousins. I was really high on them. They were 6-3. They've lost 4 in a row. And in those 4 games, Kirk Cousins has a touchdown interception ratio of 0-8. That is massively concerning. Bijan Robinson had a good day today. Bijan Robinson has been the best player on this team this season, and he has played well. They scored early on in the game. They were doing things right. And I will say, this isn't entirely on Kirk. He threw a pick early on in the first half, and he said in his press conference, I didn't necessarily like it, throwing his defense under the bus and everything, but he said, we got off the field, tied it with a 2-point conversion, 21-21. I felt pretty good. The next time I had the football in my hands, it was 35-21 because they gave up a touchdown to the Vikings on the ensuing drive, and then Ray McLeod fumbles a kickoff, and the Vikings go score again. At that point, you're down 14 with like 10 minutes to go. And if you're Kirk, I mean, the interception, it wasn't a good throw, but it was a great effort to make the interception by, I believe that was Bynum there that made the interception.
Kyle Pitts, too, ran a pretty bad route.
Yeah, and that's Kyle Pitts, man. I've been going to bat for this guy for years.
I'm going to bat to bro. He's not good at football. He can't block. He doesn't run good routes. He's just athletic.
The rookie year, he was incredible. And then I was defending him saying, look, he had Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. You got to wait. Let this guy cook. He's got a good quarterback this year. And even though Kirk has had his struggles, I think Kirk's a good enough guy that if Pitts was really a top 10 tight end, he could consistently make noise, especially with the weapons around him. And he just hasn't done that. I mean, Darnell Mooney, it was good to see him back involved. And the Falcons actually were good, at least better than normal in their worst area, which is pass rush. I think they got Darnold 3 or 4 times today, but they could not cover Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. Of course,
Sam Darnold went ballistic, dog. Fucking
it was insane.
Touchdowns, bro.
The thing is, the Vikings are still probably not bringing him back. They're saying that Sam Darnold is probably going to enter free agency and go somewhere else, and he might get a bag. I don't know if I would give him a bag. I don't know if I buy what I'm seeing this season long term, but they're set on JJ McCarthy, it seems like, next year. But
it's the Kevin O'Connell effect, dog.
Here's the Vikings, man. Where do you stand on them? Because to me, I know they've got the great record. I don't buy them as an NFC championship team, man. I just don't.
Brady, see, the thing is, though, they're 11-2 right now. They've beat like somewhat contender teams here as of late. You know, they still have that Lions and Packers games ahead. Like, they have everything in front of them to go out there and, you know, they're still in the race for the one seed, which is the craziest part. I don't like their pass defense. I don't think that's very good. We saw the Falcons run on them pretty good today. And we're not sold on Sam Darnold either being a great quarterback. But here they are, 11-2, one game back at Detroit. They have Detroit and Green Bay on their schedule. Everything is ahead of them, man. And what I'll say with Minnesota is this was supposed to be like a retool, rebuilding year for them.
You had them as last place.
Yeah, last place in the division. Here they are, you know, and that's Kevin O'Connell honestly deserves to be the coach of the year for that reason. I know Jim Harbaugh's been great. Dan Quinn's been great.
I'm still going Campbell, man.
Campbell's been great, but the Lions were awesome last year. The Vikings were supposed to be a bad team this year. Kevin O'Connell made Sam Darnold look like a good quarterback, and they're 11-2 at this point. If they finish 14-3, give him the coach of the year right away.
Problem if O'Connell wins it. What are your thoughts on Mike Tomlin winning it, though?
No, he ain't gonna win it.
You don't like Mike Tomlin there? Because honestly, both of us were really low on the Steelers too. I think I had them 7-10. You had them somewhere around the same, and they could finish 14-3.
I don't think they're finishing 14-3, but I just think like in the Steelers thing, they'd probably give more credit to Arthur Smith because the defense has never been the problem, and Tomlin. I don't know. I don't think Tomlin would. It's the same thing as like Andy Reid never winning one. It's like they never give coaches who are so established in their careers coach of the year award type of a thing, you know?
Yeah, I think here's what I'll say. O'Connell's got a good chance if they can beat the Lions. If the Lions were to win out, though, it's Campbell's easily.
Dude, they won so much last year.
If they go 16-1, though, man, I don't know if it's going to happen. And honestly, I still feel like I'm going to pick the Bills this week. Just early thoughts. But if they go 16-1, there's no way you can't give it to Dan Campbell.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. But let's talk about the Seahawks and Cardinals. Let's put a fork in the Cardinals, Brady. Let's do it. We're going to throw a fork in the Cardinals. They're cooked, dog. They're cooked.
Tyler, you let me down, man. You let me down.
Dude, monster game in place of Kenneth Walker. They actually blocked for a running back today. It was nice to see. And, you know, Seattle's sitting here 8-5. Everything's ahead of them. The Rams obviously one game back of them. We talked about them a little bit earlier. Can the Seahawks hold on to this division lead right now?
I don't know, man. I would much rather see the Rams after today in the playoffs. I think they could actually make noise. I don't think Seattle's going any farther than the first round, more than likely. But we'll see. I mean, like you were saying, it's probably all going to come down to that Rams-Seahawks game. And honestly, I would not be surprised if that game ends up becoming the Sunday night game in Week 18. You know, they love to
have the next 4 weeks too. So they're 8-5 right now. They have the Packers, Vikings, Bears, Rams.
Ooh, it might not come down to that game then. I mean, they could, in theory, they could go 0-4, but knowing the Seahawks, they could go 3-1 in those games too. They're not winning all of those games, but who knows? The Rams and the Seahawks have both been very volatile and very unpredictable this season. The entire NFC West has. It's unfortunate that the Cardinals have to come to a screeching halt like this. They were my preseason.
It's Drew Petzing, bro. Drew Petzing is not it.
I didn't even watch this game, honestly. I was completely locked into Buffalo and LA.
Kyler Murray, like, it's not a pretty offense by any means. They don't scheme up people open. Kyler Murray continues to struggle against zone coverages this year. The ground game's not existent as of late. It's just not a good offense right now. And I'm not sure if Petzing will be back next season, but they really need to explore how to fix that Arizona Cardinals offense right now because it's not very pretty. Are you buying the San Francisco 49ers potentially sneaking in?
You know, I would be tempted to if they didn't have Detroit remaining on their schedule. I don't think so. I don't think they have enough. I did have the Niners winning today, and they did more than win. They absolutely dominated.
Yeah, that was ugly.
And, I mean, if there was even a sliver of hope of Thomas Brown becoming the permanent head coach, that's out the window today.
That's exactly what I said. I said as soon as it was halftime, they no longer considered Thomas Brown as an applicant.
Yeah, that was his audition, and honestly, the track record I think of hiring interims is not very good. They probably weren't going to do it anyway, but this was an audition, and he absolutely bombed, whether it be by his fault or not. And I mean, again,
did you see the halftime stats of the game? 315 yards for San Francisco, 3 for Chicago.
Where has that been for San Fran? Because the Bears have a solid defense. They've
see, this is what I was saying. It's the same thing that happened with the Jets. You lose your defensive coordinator, head coach, the defense is going to regress right away. I'm like, yeah, San Francisco is going to be in for a big game.
I really didn't watch much of this game either. I saw a little bit, but I heard that Kyler Gordon was getting absolutely cooked by Jawan Jennings in this one.
It was everybody. George Kittle's wide open. Jennings was wide open. Garendo was running all over them. Brock Purdy played excellent. It was just a dominant performance on the offensive side of the ball for the 49ers. And on the Bears side of things, Caleb Williams holds onto the ball too much. They don't give him open and easy reads. They don't give him anything that's easy. Like Caleb Williams has it harder than every other rookie quarterback this season. And I'm going to say that even more than Drake May. Drake May is able to go make plays. Caleb Williams looks lost out there. Like May doesn't look lost, and that's
as much as I love Caleb, some of that is Caleb making it harder on himself.
100%, and that's what he's been like. The problem with Caleb that I saw coming out of college was that people compared him so much to Mahomes because of his improvisation ability. But I said that's so weird. But he literally gets himself in these spots because he tries to go scramble around and run around. He looks down at the pressure, and NFL players are just getting him in the pocket and sacking him. Like it's not working how it worked in college. May is just a better athlete, frankly, than Caleb Williams, and he's able to do more right now. Williams, what worked for him in college, never got coached out of him in Chicago because they had bad coaching, and it's only gotten worse because he's played NFL talent.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I mean, I've said it all year. Caleb's just honestly figuring out what he can and can't do. And I don't know what it will take. But shout out Steve Cohen for signing Juan Soto tonight. But the Bears need to go. The McCaskies need to go. Steve Cohen and give Ben Johnson a blank check this year. I know it might not be.
I got something interesting for you. If you're the Bears, do you call the 49ers and trade for Kyle Shanahan?
That's not happening, man. I don't think if it was available to do, 100%. 100%. But it won't be available. I think that the two best candidates that they should go after will be Ben Johnson and Joe Brady. Definitely an offensive-minded guy. If they go with another defensive-minded guy.
Here's my take. I think the number one candidate, obviously Ben Johnson. I think everybody can agree on that. The second best candidate, Mike Vrabel. The Bears are not a disciplined team.
Guy, man, no.
Dude, they're the most undisciplined team in the NFL. You watch this team on a weekly basis. They miss reads. They don't tackle. They have stupid penalties, and they just don't play very hard every single week. It's the same script every single week for the Bears. If they clean up that stuff, I mean, their record would be completely flipped almost at this point in the season. They have no discipline right now in Chicago, and that's what worries me about bringing in an offensive guy. Partly, I think Ben Johnson's a perfect candidate, but you bring in an offensive guy that's not very assertive and they don't fix the discipline issues in Chicago, I mean, they could be similar to what they have been. The offense could look a little better, but I'm not sure that's what they need too. So that's my argument for Vrabel at 2. I do think, Joe Brady, you mentioned Liam Cohen, whatever, those guys are kind of mixed in there in that 3 spot. I think there's a big gap for me from 1, 2, and then the offensive coordinators around the NFL.
Here's something to think about, though. Can you win a Super Bowl right now with a defensive-minded head coach? Because we look at since 2019, Super Bowl coaches, even including the losers, Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, Bruce Arians, Sean McVay, Zach Taylor, Andy Reid again. I will say, isn't Sirianni a defensive guy?
No, he's just a really bad offensive guy.
Okay. I thought he was defense. I was trying to give him some credit there, but no. Then you got Reid. You got Shanahan again. I mean, this is an offensive game, and I'm just of the mind that right now, you have to have an offensive guy to win, and especially when your entire franchise invested heavily in Caleb Williams being the guy for the next 10, 15 years, you got to give him someone that's on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think there's any other choice, man. And I love Mike Vrabel. I would take Mike Vrabel right now as the Patriots coach, but I just I don't think the Bears can afford to mortgage their future on another defensive guy and have it not work and have Caleb Williams not pan out because of that or potentially because of that. I think you have to go offense.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting there. I do want to talk about some of these dumpster fire teams that we've been watching this week. We got the Jaguars, Saints, the Titans, and the who did I miss? Titans, Jaguars, Saints, Titans. That's what we got. Those 4 teams all just dumpster fires this season. I mean, I don't know if you tuned into any of these games.
7-10. So the Saints are going to mess around and go like 7-10 or something.
Dude, I don't know if you watch these games, but they set quarterbacking back like 10 years, dude. These guys were horrible. I mean,
I didn't watch. I was not
all of these teams like Saints, think about it. They're stuck with Derek Carr. They're stuck in that contract. The Giants looking for a quarterback next season. They have to pick one at this point. The Titans, who knows what they could be a Sam Darnold candidate. Jacob's mentioning, is Trevor Lawrence gone? Yes, he's out for the season. And then the Jaguars, they're stuck with Mac Jones, who's horrible right now. And I can't believe Bill Belichick picked this guy in the first round. I mean, this guy's very bad at football. I don't know if you've watched Mac Jones a lot this season, but it's bad.
Hell no, I haven't watched Mac Jones. I watched enough of him in New England where he was terrible. And I have people that I won't say any names, but people that I know out here talking about, oh, Mac Jones made the playoffs with the Patriots. Why can't
it was impressive that they won 11 games with Mac? Looking at him,
they had the 17th ranked offense. The defense was just very, very good that year, and they also played a cupcake schedule. I remember we played like the Titans with AJ Brown and Derrick Henry both out. We played the Bills in that freezing cold game where we won, where Mac Jones threw three passes all night. I
remember that.
Yeah, it was insanity. But I mean, Mac Jones, he's horrible. He's got to go. And that's one thing I'll say about Bill Belichick, who, by the way, we can talk about this briefly in a second, might be going to the college ranks from all that we've been seeing. I don't give Bill Belichick any pass.
Trying to scout out a new woman.
For people that say, oh, well, how is he supposed to win? He had Mac Jones. Mac Jones was handpicked by him. He wanted Mac Jones. They went for Mac Jones. And the one thing I will say for Bill, there was no good quarterback to really take in that draft. It was him or Fields or God knows who else. I don't remember in that draft. After Trey Lance and Zach Wilson had already been picked, that was a horrendous class. The next year was too. But, I mean, Mac Jones is horrible. The Jags are horrible. And honestly, they should be all in on Travis Hunter because Travis Hunter can at least begin to help fix the worst defense in the league. And then you can see him for 15 to 20 snaps a game alongside Brian Thomas with Trevor Lawrence on in the football. It's Travis Hunter or bust, but unfortunately they won today. So they have 3 wins now as well. Patriots have 3 wins. Raiders have 2. I'm not giving up on the Patriots being in on that Travis Hunter sweepstakes. I know we need an offensive lineman, but I'm a big advocate for best available player, not necessarily just position of need. I think you take the best player available regardless sometimes.
Yeah, let's talk about the Titans, though. Do you think they go quarterback in the draft next year, or do you think a veteran like Sam Darnold could be an option for them?
It's
especially
tough,
considering the fact that the Titans do have like an older roster. They got a lot of vets there. Maybe this is more of a retool type of a roster in the next 2 years versus a rebuild type of roster.
I could see Darnold just because we've seen the Titans willing to shell out money recently with Calvin Ridley, with Tony Pollard, and they've got a coach that wants to probably bring in his own guy. Obviously, Will Levis was not his guy. He was already there when Callahan came in. But I tend to think they might draft someone. And I know that people are going to roll their eyes after yesterday, and who knows what his status is going to be injury-wise. I feel like Carson Beck could be a Tennessee Titan.
Dude, I'm going to roll my eyes, dude. If they pick him, he's going to be horrible.
I'm not going to lie to you, man. I am the biggest UGA hater that is a part of Blitz Sports Media. I hate the Dogs, and I know it's popular to hate on Carson Beck. His base box score numbers aren't always the best. You turn on Carson Beck's tape, he legitimately has some awesome throws, and I think that he is portrayed in a bad light sometimes because of mistakes that aren't necessarily his fault. He's not perfect.
I don't know. Do you think his body holds up in the NFL though?
I think it can. I think he's an athlete. He was a D1 baseball player before he decided to go and play football for Georgia. He's 6'4" and he can run. He's not tiny. He's skinny, but he's not tiny. But I'm not sure that any quarterback in this draft is just a safe pick. I could see
Yeah,
Cam
no,
Ward.
that's a great take. I don't think any quarterback is safe at all.
Yeah, if they're in a position to take him, I could see Cam Ward. I tend to think Cam Ward could actually be a giant. I think Shador is going to be the Raiders' pick wherever they end up being. You saw Dion lobbying for that the other day, telling Antonio Pierce to draft Shador Sanders. I got bad news, Dion. Antonio Pierce isn't going to be the one making the pick. He's out of there. They're going to get rid of him. And I did see Richard Sherman, actually, just to touch on this real quick. I know we're talking about the Titans, but saw Richard Sherman talking about it's kind of bullcrap what Antonio Pierce is being dealt with. They gave him a terrible roster. They gave him a terrible quarterback situation. They said, go win, just so they can let him not win and be like, all right, yeah, you're out of here. We tried the interim thing. It's over with.
That's what they did with Lovie Smith, too.
100%. I mean, we've seen multiple guys. Who was the guy in Houston a couple years ago? David Cullen.
That was Lovie Smith.
No, they did it to David Cullen as well. Remember the guy that came, special teams coach from Baltimore? It was like 2020 or 2021. They brought him in. He was a one and done. We've seen it multiple times. We saw it with was it Steve Wilkes in Arizona? We've seen this multiple times where they throw the interim guy in there, say, "Here you go, kid. Good luck," and just get rid of him after.
Yeah.
Is there any chance, shifting gears? I know, again, we were talking about the Titans. Now I'm thinking about the Raiders, though. My wheels are spinning. If they decide to fire Antonio Pierce and they want Shador, is there a chance we see Prime coaching in Vegas?
Dude, listen, I heard this stupid take. No, I heard this stupid take on live I was doing like 2-3 weeks ago. If Deion Sanders coaches in the NFL, that team's going to go 2-15. I don't care what coordinators he brings in. They're going to be horrible. They're going to be so bad.
I agree, but I still think it could happen.
If it happens, I mean, congrats. The Raiders are going to be stuck in the 4th place in a tough division going forward with Herbert, Nix, and Mahomes.
The one thing
going to set them back so far.
Here's the one thing I'll say for Deion. First off, Deion's not an idiot when it comes to football. I'm not sure he's a head coach. I think that he has a immense talent that he's brought in, but Deion has two things. Deion has the ability to get people to buy in. You can clearly see on Colorado, they brought in 30 times the recruits they ever brought in before Deion Sanders was ever there. They've got 5 stars committing. They've got a top 10 prospect committing. They had the number 1 O-lineman commit last year and come in and start as a freshman. Deion gets guys to buy in, but most importantly, Deion sells tickets. Whether they're winning or not, if the Raiders were to hire Deion Sanders, that building would be filled up in Allegiant Stadium.
That's such a loser's move. Hey, I want to hire the guy to sell some tickets.
Prime has a cult following, and if you can get a competent GM there, you get enough money after a terrible year one, you just go spend like crazy in free agency. Who knows, though? I think that there is a chance that we could see Shador and Prime in Vegas.
Hey, when Deion finds out the free agency is not like the NIL portal, he's going to be screwed.
Yeah.
He doesn't have all the money to just go out and get whoever he wants. He's got some sort of –
I lean towards Deion being a not good NFL coach, but I really can't say until we see it, if we see it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Let's talk about this to close the show. Jets and Dolphins. You know, we got a good Jets offense performance today. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been really bad this season. I had him as a bottom 5 quarterback this year heading into this week. This is the best I've seen Aaron Rodgers look since that Patriots game, I don't know, 8 weeks ago. And, clap it up. Clap it up. Great performance.
For this first 300-yard game in 3 years, it's a big step.
He did it. He's so back. The defense, on the other hand, though, not very good. And on Miami's side of things, guess what? Tyreek and Jalen Waddle are back. They're actually utilizing them.
I had Tyreek, baby. Let's go.
Dude, they're utilizing their receivers again. And what do you know? They're able to play a close game, and they're able to come back quicker, and it worked out well. And with Miami, I'm like, well, they're losing this game. The Broncos locked up the 7th seed. Nope. You know, the Miami Dolphins stay in it at 6-7. They're tied with the Colts now. Do you think Miami still has a shot? What are your takeaways from this one?
I do think so. And I think that they would have been dead in the water if they didn't pull this one out. Obviously, they're still 6-7, correct?
Yep.
They've got some work to do, but I think they can pull it off. They've got the Texans next week. They can win that ball game. And if they do win that ball game, all of a sudden you talk about, is the AFC South up for grabs? Are the Colts back in the race in the AFC South just because of how inept the Texans have been as of late? They've got the 49ers after that. That's the toughest of these final 4 games. Then they've got the Browns. Then they've got the Jets. If they can find a way to win these next 2 games and be, 8-7, they've got a good shot. They've got a good shot. They could finish 10-7 and be right in the mix with the Broncos, who, once again, we talked about, they still have the Chiefs again. They still have the Chargers again, and they have the Bengals. They have to stop that offense. So it is by no means a guarantee that the Broncos get that 7 seed.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee, but I think the Broncos are going to wind up doing it. I mean, you have, I think it, what is it? Yeah, 2-game lead right now. I think a 2-game lead at this point in the season is a lot to overcome, especially with Miami. I don't think they match up necessarily well with San Francisco. I think San Francisco could bully them a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. And we talk about Houston, they match up well with Houston. I do agree. I'm interested to see how their passing game negates those really good pass rushers for Houston. And what I'm interested to see about the Jets side of things, Davante Adams is not a guarantee to be back in New York next season. If Rodgers walks off into the sunset, where do you think Davante Adams could land next year?
I have no clue, man. That guy's weird.
That's your take.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, probably the Saints if I had to guess.
Dude, he seems like a perfect Saints candidate.
But this dude Davante just glazes all of his former quarterbacks. Just I don't care if the Jets suck, send me there. And if you don't, send me to the Saints. I don't care if the Raiders suck, send me there. This is my college quarterback. Like,
Davante's definitely an interesting guy. But hey, we really appreciate you guys tuning in to the show tonight. We got Bengals Cowboys reactions coming to you guys tomorrow night. Hit that comment section with all your reactions from week 14 down below. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and we'll catch you guys next time.